we go. So for the first one, if you want the intercepts, it's just going to be negative 5x is equal to 20. Okay, I imagine this as an equation of the line. So y is 0, right? So we divide both sides by negative 5. X is equal to negative 4. So we've got negative 4, 0 as our x-intercept. And then for the y-intercept, it's 8y is equal to 20. Divide both sides by 8. Y is equal to 2.5. So it's 0, 2.5. I'll give you a mark for this, for having them both right. We'll rearrange. So we have 8y. The 5 comes over adding 5x plus 20. We divide both sides by 8. The inequality stays, so this is really 5 over 8x plus, this is something I will mention later on, but you can leave it like this if it's not a whole number. You could just leave it like that and I enter it that way. If you put 2.5, there's nothing wrong with it because it's a finite decimal, but if it's got many decimals, I want you to have all of them in there, so just keep it as a fraction. And so I would essentially just enter this with brackets in my calculator when it's time to graph it, because at some point we're going to enter this into our calculator. We're going to all the inequalities, we're going to enter them and then find the points of intersection and whatnot. But 2.5 is fine today, no deduction. All right, if it's finite, no deduction, period. What do we have here? This is a dashed line. The true region, because it's y less than, is going to be below, so we're also going to shade below the line. So we've got negative 4, 1, 2, 3. Oh, let's label before we forget. X and y. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, 0, and 0, 2.5. So that'd be right there. And it would probably be best to label. So I'm going to go 5 here, 5 there, negative 5, negative 5. So now we understand that the scale is just 1. And you grab your ruler. Does it make sense that it's going up? Yes, because I have a positive slope. And just make sure it's a dashed line. If you forget ever, just erase sections of it. And you've got yourself a dashed line. So we'll give you 1 mark for this part, x-intercept, y-intercept. 1 mark for rewriting. And 2 marks, oh, I'm not done yet, right? But 2 marks will be given to the graph. I need to shade below the line here. Otherwise, it's not an inequality. But you know what? Most importantly is tell me that this is the true region. That is probably the most important. You're telling me that that's the true region, the shaded part. So from now on, make sure you do that. Also, sometimes I'll write down solution region. It's the same thing. It's the true, the yes region, the solution region, all means the same thing. So what am I looking for? I would say dashed line, that's a half mark, right? For having a dashed line. Labels, I would say also half a mark for labels. And then shading, I would say it's a full mark. Shading the correct region is a full mark. And that would be including the line itself, right? So 4 marks for that one. All right, next. 5 for this one. Okay, so let's find the intercepts. Let me just give you a heads up here. If you ever have this 126 over on the left side, right, just bring it over right away. Like I always like to have variable number. It just makes it easier when you work with it. So x-intercept y is equal to 0, so that'd be negative 27. X is equal to 126. Yes, these are uglier numbers, but we shouldn't fear that at all. We've got a calculator. So remember, we're doing this for graphing purposes. So that would be 126 divided by negative 27. That's negative 4.67. So negative 4.670 is our x-intercept. The y-intercept is negative 21y is equal to 126. Divide both sides by negative 21. Y is equal to negative 6 exactly. Right? Oops, what did I do? Yeah, it's negative 6. So 0, negative 6 for that. Get into the habit of having it nice and compact somewhere where it's easily accessible. And let's rewrite it. I'll do that underneath here. Negative 21y is greater than or equal to, the 27 comes over. So that's 27x plus 126. It comes over adding. Okay, very important. Now you divide by negative 21. And this is where you flip the sign. Okay, make sure you understand that. That's y. So it's 27, negative 27 over 21 x plus or minus 6, right? 126 divided by negative 21 is negative 6. So this is what I'm after. So 1 mark for the intercepts, 2 marks for this one. Why 2 marks? 1 for flipping the inequality and another one for having it rewritten properly. So, and then we're ready to graph. So this is a solid line. We're going to say that the true region, because it's less than, is below. We're also going to shade below. Okay, so here we have it. X, Y. A scale of 1 is just fine. It's just fine. And so negative 4.67 is almost at the negative 5. 0, negative 6 is over here. Does it make sense for it to go down? Yes, because my slope is negative. Solid line. And you decide what you want to label this with. It doesn't matter. You can use the original. Because remember, they're all the same. They're just manipulated. So this is the true region. And you just shade it. Anything missing? I think we're good. So 2 marks again for the graph, having all the components there. So this page is worth 9. Yikes! I'm breaking all my. What's happening? There. 9 marks for this page. All right. Backside. I don't know if you realize, but there is no y variable right off the get-go. Sometimes they cancel out, and then you find out. But this one says no, right? No y variable. Okay. So it's going to be a vertical line. Vertical line. Boundary line, that is. So we're going to clean this up. So 2x is less than, you multiply this out. So that's 3x minus 6. Right? You first have to get rid of the brackets. Then I'm going to bring the 3x over to this side. So it's going to be 2x minus 3x is less than negative 6. This gives you negative x is less than negative 6. Let's say you get 1 mark at this stage. Okay, if you get it to that point, I give you 1 mark. Then you need to divide both sides by negative 1. Morning. Oh, okay. I didn't know I had ordered. So that would be positive 6, so, right? You flip the sign because of that, so that would be another mark for doing that right. So this is a dashed line because there's no equal sign under the inequality. True region, if it's greater than, true is to the right. That's where you need to have this on your study sheet perhaps, or just memorize it. I would have it on my study sheet because by the time we get to the exam, there's going to be so many things you're going to have to remember. Some of my students, if they found out like years ago that you got a study sheet, they'd be furious right now. They did not get to have a study sheet. What was it? Maybe 10 years ago? But you get to have it, so use it. That's what, but we can ask tougher questions as well because of that. So 6 is where it's at, right? So you go 4, 5, 6 right here. Whatever that number is, that's where the vertical line goes through. And it's dashed. So we're going to go over here. So this is x is greater than 6. True region is here. So you have to shade. So if you forgot the flipping the sign, obviously you're shaded the complete opposite region. So that's already taken care of by you losing a mark here for not flipping. I would actually expect you to have this side shaded if you didn't catch it here because I want you to be consistent, right? So if you didn't flip the sign, obviously this is where, so you would go step, right? Based on what I've done before, this step is correct. So that's how that goes. So 2 marks here and then 2 marks for the graph. So make sure that if you make a significant mistake, you take off a full mark. If you didn't dash, if you went solid versus dash, that's a half mark deduction for me. But if you shade the wrong region, that's a full mark deduction. Like if it's opposite to what you got here, if it doesn't jive with what your findings were. Okay, so 4, we're going to stop there. We're not going to do the bottom part. It's basically the next thing we're going to do today as well, to write our inequality from the graph. So 9 and 4, that's 13. Cross that off. Just make it out of 13. Make sure your name and last name is on there. And let's continue.